Hi, my name is Marco Stahl. I'm with Projective. We are a company that develops a software that is called Strawberry. So Strawberry is a production asset management, and if you wonder what this is, well, this is a tool to manage work-in-progress content on various levels. So we organize the shared storage for you. We make sure that metadata is neatly wrapped around projects so that you can find them, and we also manage access rights to the content. So what I'm going to show you today is a small workflow of Strawberry in conjunction with Avid Media Composer and Adobe Premiere. So what you see here in front of you is the Strawberry client application. And this client application is installed on every single machine that does actual editing. So we also have front ends for web browsers where people can browse and preview proxy files, etc. But we are really focused on the editorial process here today. So what you see here is a list of all of the projects to which I, as a user, have access. So a project in Strawberry is a container that includes project and media files from various applications, including Avid, Final Cut, the Adobe Creative Cloud applications, and more. So let's actually start by creating a new project, walk you through the process, and explain how this works. So first of all, we click here on a new button. And as you can see, a modal comes up where I can choose from various metadata for this project. So this is quite important and quite significant because typically you create something on the shared storage and then later maybe with a PAM you're trying to tag it and add metadata to it. Here it is the other way around. So you're first telling the system something about what you're going to do and then you're creating the actual content within the project. So let's just assume our client here is the Vought, very famous company, and we are doing a commercial actually today for Homelander cereal. So this is a TV commercial, and then we just call the project Homelander IBC. So in the next step, we can choose a template. So those of you working in editorial are familiar with templates and how they work. So a template is a pre-populated folder structure that includes also preset project files for various editing applications. And you can set up these templates in Strawberry. You can customize pretty much everything that you see in front of you. And once you have created these templates, editors can choose them, and what they get is a predefined structure in which they can work. Okay, so we have everything in place. This looks quite good. So we click here on the next button. Here we can add a description for our project. So typically for media production, this is where you put like your synopsis or your treatment. So anything that describes the project, and everything that you put in here will become a keyword for the search engine. Then, and this is also pretty cool, because we're working on a project level, you can also set permission based on a project level. So typically when working on shared storage, it's pretty hard actually to make sure the permissions are in place. So you'll end up having an administrator setting ACLs or basically access rights on folders. And of course, this is quite a complicated process because if you have a lot of creative people working at a facility on the shared storage and an AT admin chasing after them, setting permissions, this is a pretty inefficient process in itself. So Strawberry does this for you by automatically assigning access rights to these editorial projects, ensuring that only the people who should have access to certain projects get access. So in here we can say, okay, I have my colleague Steve here getting access to this project, or I can also say, well, the entire IBC crew should have access to the project, and now all members of this team will get access. So now when we click on the create button, a unicorn jumps into my computer and does some magic in the background. So what this actually means is on the shared storage, we're creating a folder structure for this project. So we're going here into global, media 1, and what you see here basically is the central project repository that Strawberry creates on the shared storage. So this place actually, you can see, is pretty much locked down. So I cannot just simply go there and mess around with these folder structures. But the one project here that I've just created and opened, this is actually accessible here for me. So the Strawberry server has set the permissions on this project so that my editing machine can actually access it. But of course, we don't want the editors to go all the way down here because it's quite annoying and it won't work for a lot of editorial applications, including Avid. So what we do instead is we create a volume here or a workspace that is basically the folder that I've just showing you, but this folder has some properties. First of all, as you can see, it includes already Premiere and After Effects project files. So it has been pre-populated based on the template that we have chosen at the beginning. Second, this volume also acts as an Avid file system. So now when you start Media Composer and you're accessing this with the Avid application, then Media Composer will go into bin locking mode, into collaboration mode. So multiple people can open up the same Strawberry project at the same time, open up Avid Media Composer, and have like this collaborative experience that you would typically have on a Nexus, for example, on pretty much any storage, because Strawberry is storage independent. Okay, so the project is in place, everything looks great, we have metadata in place, and the Strawberry client application has recognized that we have a Premiere project file in here and an After Effects project file, so we want to go with Premiere. So we select the project file here, click yes, and now the Strawberry client is opening up Premiere for us, and then also opening up this project in Premiere. So we give this a few seconds. So as I've said, it's pretty much application agnostic, so Avid was one example that I was giving. But of course, if you're like a modern post-production, you're working with a variety of different tools, including Cinema 4D, for example, or maybe Resolve. So all of this can also be handled by Strawberry, because at the end, it's an organizational layer that sits on top of your storage and makes sure that all of your production, all of your content is neatly organized and secured. So now we are here in Premiere, and as you can see in Premiere we have a panel extension, because of course we have, it's 2022, right? And this panel extensions gives you the same search capabilities, the same preview capabilities as the thick Strawberry client application. So from here, for example, you could go into a search field and you could search for a project. So I have this project media library here that I can simply access directly from this panel. You can see I have a bunch of different folders in here, and I can pretty much go here and select or preview content that is inside this project. So that's quite neat, because what you see here are proxy files that have been generated by the Strawberry server automatically. So whenever media gets into the system, the Strawberry server recognizes, okay, there's new files, so we're creating these proxies and make them available for editors if they have access to these projects. And now what we can do here is we can select one or two or a bunch of these files. Let's actually like select like a couple of them. We can checkbox here, for example, or draw a lasso. And then we can just right click here if if the delay is I'm remote connected, so I'm having a little bit of delay here right now. That's me 5 seconds ago. Let's just wait for the screen to catch up here. And then we can import these assets eventually. There we go. All right, so the files are now imported into Premiere. And of course, when we do the import, we are not just doing like a lazy, go to where the file is and then import it, because this would be not efficient. Instead, we are doing a two-step operation. So typically when you work on shared storage with a lot of people and applications like Premiere, you're running into a variety of problems. One of them being a lot of editors are accessing a lot of files on the shared storage. And then they're not doing this in an organized way necessarily, like they're importing media from pretty much everywhere. So what you end up with is a situation where, a lot of people are importing media and then the storage gets full. So now you want to archive content or you want to delete content. And this is quite complicated, because without a system sitting on top of your storage, you don't really know who is using what media. So when you're going to delete or to archive, there's always a risk that you're deleting or archiving something that is in use by other people right now, which is definitely something that you want to avoid. And this basically means that IT admins don't archive or are afraid of archiving, because they don't want to get in trouble with the editorial. So what we do here is, when importing a file, it is a two-step operation. In the first step, we are linking the file from the origin project into our project here, into our IBC project. It's a storage level operation. It's a nanosecond operation basically, the file is now in two places simultaneously, but it's not duplicated, right? So now we can use these files here, of course, in our Premiere application, drag and drop them here into our sequence and work off of these files. But now when the IT administrator decides, hey, I'm going to delete the source project, like the project where these files are coming from, or to archive these projects, then these files that I've used will remain online in my editing project. So they can just efficiently archive stuff away from the shared storage, and stuff that is actually being used in the editorial applications, this stuff remains on the shared storage for further use. Of course, we are offering like a bunch of different functionality inside the panel. For example, I could import local media here from my desktop, and Strawberry would automatically ingest it into the shared storage, into the correct project location, because it knows on which project I'm working at any given time, which makes this quite efficient. So I don't know, how much time do I have? Okay, a few more minutes. Okay, so before I'm going to wrap this up here, I would like to talk archive quite briefly. So Strawberry has a built-in archive capability where you can create so-called archive strategies. And of course, since we're working on a project level and editorial, we're also archiving on a project level. So in Strawberry, archiving is pretty simple. So what you want to do is basically you want to set up an archive strategy in the Strawberry admin panel. And then once this archive strategy has been created, you can basically select any project here from the Strawberry UI, right-click, and then send to archive. So because Strawberry is organizing all of these projects on the shared storage, it already has all of the files that actually belong to this project in its structure, and therefore can just archive it away. We support a variety of different archive tools and integrations, such as ArchiWeb P5 or Engineer from Pixel Media, just to name a few. But you can also simply archive, for example, to spinning this storage or to the cloud if you want to. So you can see I have like 2 archive strategies set up here, so we just choose this one, we hit confirm, and now this entire project goes to the archive. You have a progress right here, and once the archive operation has been completed, you can see there's this little shoebox icon here on the left hand side, which actually indicates that this project is now in the archive. But it's not out of sight, out of mind. You can still actually go here into the project and browse the proxy files that have been formally ingested into the project. So here it's Avid Media Files, so we just go to the Avid Media Files folder, MXF, Avid Media Files. I have a little bit of a delay here, MXF. And now you can see I can still browse these proxy files here, if it lets me do it. There we go. I can still browse the proxy files here, but of course the actual high-resolution media files are in the archive. So now if I want to restore any of these files, I didn't want to go there, I can simply select the file that I want to restore, and then I can right-click on the file and easily bring it back from the archive. By right-clicking on it, hitting import, it will ask me, do you want to retrieve it? Yes. And it will bring the file back directly into my project. Okay, so of course there's a lot more features that we can offer with the product. For example, we have a remote editing solution which is called Skies. The Strawberry server constantly creates editing proxies, and then remote editors can import these editing proxies into their Premiere or After Effects applications to work off of them, and then synchronize their changes back to the mothership so that they can have like this seamless check-in, check-out process for remote and office work. The other thing that we also do is deduplication. So the Strawberry server creates hashes or checksums from every single file on the shared storage. And we're using these checksums or these hashes to deduplicate the storage overnight, which makes it very efficient to organize media in Strawberry in pretty large collaborative environments. So yeah, I hope you liked this demo. It was a short one, and there's much more to talk about. But we'd be happy if you get in touch with our partners from Extreme. And we can continue the conversation. Thanks a lot for your time.